What up, party people in the house? It's Dynasty War Games, and I am your host, Jesse Schneeman. I'm here tonight without my normal co-hosts. Chad had a new baby, so congratulations, Chad. Chad and his wife, lovely wife, had a beautiful boy. So congratulations.
Heck yeah.
And then Mike is playing real war games because he's a captain in the Army, and they're at an undisclosed location preparing for whatever may happen to our country. Right. So in the meantime, we are joined by the Shemp of our show, the fourth stooge, Brian Ford. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Always happy to be here on the main Squeeze show, to which our show is simply the side piece.
Yes. So Brian's referring to Dynasty Fever, a little show he and I do together. That is the official fluffer show for Dynasty War Games. And it can't just be me and Brian, because then it would be Dynasty Fever, right? So we have a guest, very special guest, someone that's joined us in the past, someone that I brought on because he and I don't agree on players very much at all. So to keep this from being an agree fest, to get some fresh takes, we've got Austin Bell. How are you tonight, Austin?
What's going on, Jesse and Brian? Doing great, man. Monday, but pretty good.
Right on. That's cool.
Great to be here. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, and I appreciate having somebody from the South as well, because
that's right. North Carolina strong.
Yeah. Brian and I are, we live in the Northeast. Things are real, pressure.
Civilized.
Just in together.
Correct.
And pressure is so,
the way things should be. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we don't have too much pressure.
No, things are
nice and smooth.
Yeah.
Where in North Carolina are you from?
You know where Winston-Salem is?
Sorta, yeah.
Basically in between Greensboro and Charlotte. That's the easiest way to explain it.
Right on.
Yeah, I know where Winston-Salem is. How far is that from Wilson?
About an hour towards Raleigh.
Gotcha. Right on. I used to go through Wilson a lot when I was traveling. I think I passed Winston-Salem once. I used to travel in North Carolina from Marriott quite a bit.
It is blowing up quick, man. To be honest, a lot of people from up north are moving down here, and it's crazy. Where I grew up was a little.
I'm sorry.
Little tiny town where I grew up. I mean, tiny, and now it's got a hospital. It's got 15 restaurants off the exit. I mean, it's insane, and there wasn't anything but a gas station and McDonald's when I was a kid. It's wild.
Nice. Well, I'm from a suburb of Philly, only about 15 minutes away. Marlton is where. Well, I was born in South Philly, but moved to Marlton. It was the development I grew up in. My aunts and uncles call it the apple orchard. It was all apple orchards, or whatever. And now it's like giant buildings and a huge overpass, and it's extremely densely populated, like any suburb of Philly. It's
sounds about right. It sounds about everywhere, to be honest. I feel like everywhere is growing up like that.
All right, so we are not really.
Hold on a second. We have a question in the chat. No, they are not championship rings at all. They're just simply rings that I like to wear. I don't have a lot of recent championships. I won a few last year, but given the number of leagues I'm in, the percentage isn't that good. In a non-winning part of the cycle in a bunch of leagues. But 2024 is going to be my year, like across the board. Watch out.
Nice. Welcome, Alistair, in the chat. All right, so we're not really here to talk about demographics. We're here to talk about dynasty football. And it's still rookie season. As Austin and I painfully know, we've got a very slow-moving auction.
Oh, my God. I'm in 2. You think that one's slow? Oh, gosh.
They're both real slow.
I'm going through like a player a day, it feels like, in the other one.
Yeah, so slow auctions are my nightmare. I'm in a Debbie league that consolidated from 14 to 12, and so we're dispersing the 2 teams. I literally just traded all my auction dollars to not have to deal with the slow auction because I absolutely hate slow auctions, so I'm done.
It's a good strategy. I mean, that's like me and Debbie. I generally trade my Debbie players for veterans because –
it's a smart thing to do. That's a whole different discussion. But the more I play Debbie, the smarter it is to do it.
Yeah. So we're actually gonna start diving into Devi on Dynasty Fever in a week or two, and a little bit here as well. Once Chad gets back, he's kind of the Devi anchor of this show. So once he's done his paternity leave. But
Anchor
anyway,
in that he weighs you down, or anchor in that
no, anchor is that he holds the ship in place. All right, he's like the anchor on an Anchorman team. You ever play Anchorman in college?
Oh yeah.
All right,
Smart enough for college, not the game.
I was about to say you don't have to be smart to play Anchorman.
You don't have to be in college to play Anchorman either.
That's right. All right, so we're gonna play a little game tonight. It's the name of the show, so that's what we have to do, right? It's still, like I said, rookie season. What we're gonna play is a game we like to call here called Who Am I? All right, and this Who Am I is going to involve all rookies. I'm going to give you a first of all, I'll tell you how I got the data that I have here. I went to 3 different sites: Fantasy Pros, DLF, and I can't exactly remember the last one. It might have been Fantasy Football Calculator. I don't remember. Excuse me. And I got ADP for all of the rookies in May. All right. So I was very specific to make sure that I got all ADP after the NFL draft. Right. Excuse me. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the ADP that I compiled. I did a calculation between the 3 and took an average. And I'm going to give you their current Dynasty trade calculator value. And if you haven't gotten it by then, I'll tell you where their landing spot was, right? So I'm going to read you 1 data point. If you know the answer, yell out your name.
Oh, okay, like that.
Okay. I'm going to read a 2nd data point. If you know the answer, yell out your name. You go. We'll say 2 points for a right answer and 1 minus 1. No, we're not going to do negative points. We're just going to do 1 point for a right answer.
Keep it all positive.
Yeah.
We'll keep it all positive.
But before we start, I just want to tell the audience that I really love war games because I get to see what happens when Jesse does prep for a show.
Zing.
But he has nothing to say to it either.
Yeah, Brian sends me a show sheet on like Saturdays for our Wednesday show, and then there have been episodes where I'm opening the show sheet as we're opening the show.
Now you get an honest take.
And we're still like top 20 shows in Iceland. So
we're 19th in Iceland.
Right.
Believe it or not. That one's for you, Firecock. You know who I'm talking about. All right. That's Stefan in the Patreon. So, you guys ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. I'm just going to pick a player at random here. All right, ADP, current ADP of 9.7.
Oh, I see what you're doing. Okay, like almost the 10th pick off the board. Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Is this Superflex tight end premium?
I'm sorry.
QB?
I should have explained that. It's Superflex, but I couldn't get tight end premium ADP. It's not really, they don't do it that way. So it's Superflex, but not tight end premium. I'm sorry, but the trade calculator is tight end premium. Just add a little wrinkle. I did click that button.
Well, since we're not going negative, I'll go first. Austin.
All right. 9.7, Austin.
Kincaid.
Incorrect. Brian. Free guess.
Zay Flowers.
Zay Flowers, that's correct.
That was the other option. I knew it was one of the 2.
Brian, for a second point, for a bonus point, give me his trade calculator within 0.5.
16.3.
Incorrect. It is 13.1 currently.
Okay.
That's a good guess. I would have thought the 109, 110 would be right around 15 or 16.
All right, so we're Brian 1, Austin nothing. Next player is.
Do we want to talk about Zay Flowers? Or?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I mean, on this show, we like to talk about the players.
That was said before we started, Brian.
That's right. Yeah.
I looked down at my list and I saw a player that I desperately want to talk about. So, but we're going to talk about Zay Flowers first. Austin, since you're the guest, just give me your thoughts on Zay Flowers, how many shares you have and how many basically. Is he somebody that you're taking at 9.7?
No, barring all my leagues are tight end premium, so no. I wouldn't. He's my fourth receiver, but 10th player. So, and if it's a league that is a start to running back to receiver, I'm probably going to look at taking a couple running backs right in that same range. But first
Which
round
running
wide
back?
receiver, A-Chain or Miller, depending on how I'm feeling that
I
day.
knew you were going to say A-Chain and Miller. Okay.
So I like him. I don't love the landing spot, but in the offense, I think he fits pretty well. And with Lamar signed and stay there, it should be a pretty safe for at least a couple years.
Mm-hmm. Any thoughts of trading down out of that?
I'm always down to trade down. Kind of like as we've spoke after 9, I'm okay with moving down. I would like to get into that early second range and then plus a late second, early third, or future second. I'm totally good with it.
Brian.
Yep.
Are you taking Zay Flowers at 9.7?
I think in some leagues I would. In general, no. Though my wide receiver 4, my 11th overall, so very similar to Austin. No way I'm taking A-Chain or Miller there, but I'll take a Kincaid. I might reach on a Charb a couple spots, but I would like to trade down. I like to trade across to 2024. I did that this morning, or I'll trade up. We were talking about this on our last episode. The cost of going from a Zay Flowers value player to a JSN value player right now in your rookie drafts is much less than it will be going from a Zay Flowers 9th round a startup ADP to a JSN. I don't know, whatever, 5th, 4th.
He's like mid 5th. Yeah, that's where I'm seeing.
That's a good point. That's
a
really
great point.
So I had 109 twice. One of them I couldn't trade up or down, so I took Zay Flowers. Kincaid was off the board. He went 108. I have Flowers as my third wide receiver. I have him above QJ. So I really like Flowers. It's not an optimal landing spot. I can squint and see it working out for him.
I think what he's got going for him is that they can be creative with him, because at Boston College, like, he won, although he wasn't great at like high pointing and stuff like that, he won different ways. Like, he can be a Rondell Moore, just, dunk it to him, and let him do yak, right? Or he can win other ways too. And I think he's going to have to try to win versatile ways because he's got, veterans like Bateman and OBJ and Andrews and Likely there. So he's got a path, with the new offense getting creative. We'll see.
I did trade up once from that spot. It only cost me a mid-third. I traded up to 107 and took Addison. I thought that was very
love that.
Yep. It's a different tier to me, and for its only cost a third, it's worth it. All right, cool. Flowers. All right. Current ADP 17.0. DTC value 11.3.
Brian. Josh Downs.
Incorrect. Free guess, Austin.
Roshan.
Incorrect. All right, last data point, landing spot, New Orleans.
Brian.
Kendre
Miller.
Correct. Kendre Miller for a point.
It's a couple spots lower than I expected, but I guess right. It's a compiling different ADP together. Yeah.
It is, yeah. So like I said, it's across 3 platforms, and Fantasy Pros aggregates from 3 or 4 sites, I believe.
Right, and like you said, we don't know how much tight end premium is built into all that. So yeah.
So you brought up Kendre Miller a little while ago, Austin. You have him in the late first, early second?
Yeah, I'm deciding between Miller, Levis, and Mayer for me when I'm at that 112. Assuming A-Chain goes 11, which I've seen 90% of the drafts I'm in. I'm deciding that at the 112, and it really is roster more league construction dependent. Like I said, 2 running backs, point per carry leagues, big tight end premiums. That's going to sway me one way.
So you're a big college guy. Did you really like Kendre in college? Is that why you like him there, or is it landing spot?
I like the running style as much, honestly, more than the landing spot. The landing spot didn't do anything special for me. It didn't hurt it, but it didn't do anything special. But I thought he was a pure runner, somebody that I could see making a clear path in the NFL.
All right, so I like to hear that at least you're basing it on talent and not the landing spot, because I've heard a lot of people hyping him up because of the landing spot, which I think is mediocre.
Yeah, I agree. It doesn't do anything special at all.
Right on. So obviously you're taking him at 17. Are you trading up? If you have a mid-second and he's kind of fallen into the early second, would you trade up for him?
No, because there's enough other guys I'm happy with. There's especially if I have another second or an early third, I just take who falls and grab somebody else as a running back later. A Spears, a Bigsby, something like that in the late second, early third, and I'm just as happy with adding a running back like that.
Brian, your thoughts on Kendre Miller? Are you taking him at 17?
Yeah, it's funny. I'm looking at my spreadsheet. He's like one of the few guys I have 0 shares of, and it's not intentional. It's not like Jalen Hyatt, like, oh, gross, I can't tap that button. It's just I'm either drafting before, after, or I expect him, but he goes too early, whatever. I certainly like him a lot more than you do. He's practically off your board. I think the landing spot is a little sunnier than maybe you do. I know you and I both think that, like, given his size, we'd like to see him with like more power and moving piles and better short yardage.
Yeah,
but I think I think when I look at this class, I'm pretty much right at market with him as far as like where I have him like in my tiers. So. I mean, he's not somebody like I'm super excited about, like, oh, Kendre Miller fell to the 2-4, boom, I got him, but he's not somebody like, shit, I either got to draft Miller or trade out, which you are.
Yeah, so I don't like Kendre Miller at all. I don't have any shares. I won't get any shares of him because he's like 306 or 7 for me. And he's never fallen that far in any draft I've been in. The one use I've found for him is in an auction. I nominated him to get some money off the board.
Yeah.
So I told this story on Fever, but this is my story, so I'm gonna tell it again. After Saturday, after the NFL draft completed, my wife was out of town, so I had some time just to chill out, and I decided I was gonna watch a movie, and I put on Draft Day. I know it's a ridiculous movie. Those things would never happen in the NFL. It's not about realism. It's just a fun ride, just something to watch, right? And Kendre Miller reminds me of the running back from Buffalo that they're offering to trade to him. And the line from Costner was, looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane. And that's Kendre Miller to me. What I found out since I told this story on Fever, though, is the actor that played the running back in the movie was actually Arian Foster.
Yeah, look at there.
So that's a real man right there. So honestly, Kendre Miller to me is just somebody I won't have. I wanted to bring it up because I just wanted to really state on this show, I don't know if I've stated it strongly enough, like he shies away from contact, and for his size, that's
Yet his missed tackles forced rating is good, and people have called him a tackle breaking machine. So it's
he's a one cut guy to me. He finds the lane and goes, and will make the first defender on that second layer miss. Now what he does after that is up to you, because I don't think he has the high end speed, but I mean we saw enough breakaways. He's got some of it.
I'll tell you what could make me wrong about Kendre Miller. And this is kind of the same thing with David Montgomery, too. Because David Montgomery thought he was shifty in college for some reason. When I went back and watched his college tape, he thought that he was elusive more than kind of the straight line banger power back that he became in the NFL. It took him a year or two. But yeah, if Kendre Miller can find that elite violence that I talk about, that David Montgomery has, that Jamal Williams has, Chris Carson had it all day. If he can find that in his game, it might not keep his body in the best shape and around for long, but it'll get him on the field. It'll get him carries, because that's the type of back I feel like he should be. And if he can find that style, then it'll make me wrong.
I feel like you're saying that because of how he looks, not how he plays.
Right, exactly.
Alistair brings up a decent point about the Kamara to dust thing. I don't think he needs that. I think he works well with Kamara. I think he's a good piece to complement him to get 6 to 12 touches his first year or two. Heaven forbid Kamara gets hurt or is suspended. I mean, I'm not going to say he's going to take Kamara's place. He's not that type of back, but I see no issue of seeing 12 to 15 touches when Kamara's not there.
Well, Jamal Williams is there as well.
It's perfect. That's perfect. That's what I'm saying. I think he works well.
When Jim's not there, I got
correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. You're exactly right. Like, for his size, he's not fast or explosive enough. He's not Pacheco explosive. Or am I wrong about that, Brian?
I mean, sure, why not? There's nothing that I love about the guy, right? Like, he was in that tier of running backs pre-draft where it was like, I don't know, there's like 8 guys, NFL, you tell me, right? It was like my running back 4 to 10, right?
I agree.
The NFL spoke, and now he's my running back, I want to say 5 or 6. My running back 5, right? And a landing spot with 2 guys aging, 1 suspended does have something to do with that. And the quality of the player and the way the NFL seems to think of them with third round draft capital does have something to do with that. Like, for example, Roschon, who a lot of people love, right? Like, I think they're interesting to compare the two, right? Because they're both, in some ways, in a sort of 3-headed monster at the time, right? At the moment. And I think you've got some people who are Miller over Roschon and some people who are Roschon over Miller. ADP, says Miller, largely, I think, because of real life draft capital. So it's a long way of answering your question of, I kind of don't necessarily care too much whether he's Pacheco explosive or whatever. Like, I care about what the team thinks of him and his opportunity. And I think he's good enough. If given the opportunity, he's going to score me some fantasy points. And at the 204, I'm cool with that.
Yep. I think he's a perfect flip after year 1 or 2, whichever one you see the boom first. You go and get you a 25 first and a 3rd round rookie you like in 24 class. And you hope that rookie pops and you have an extra first to go with it. I think he's somebody you're going to see a boom.
I'm going to start calling him Bishop Miller. He's
But he didn't get drafted. Sankey got drafted, 103 in rookie drafts that year?
Did he?
Yeah,
I didn't play Dynasty.
Yeah, he was super high. Everybody loved him. I remember that time. Everybody loved him.
I took him as like my RB2 in a redraft league, and it stank me. It stank me from Bishop Stanky. All right. Enough Kendre Miller. Current ADP of 14.
Brian.
Jonathan
Mingo.
Dang.
Incorrect.
Ooh, that was my guess. So appreciate the Austin.
Okay.
Charbonnet.
Incorrect. DTC value of 5.0. 5.0.
Wow.
Yes, this was very surprising. No guesses? Free guesses?
Austin.
Downs, correct. Good job, Austin.
Wow, better ADP than I expected.
A lot higher.
Yeah, so Downs is currently 14 in ADP and only a 5.0 with DTC. So I thought that was a real discrepancy. And also I thought Miller was really high at 11.3. If Zay Flowers is going at 9.7 and is a 13.1. Follow what I'm saying?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, the disparity between the picks and the DTC
Yeah,
value.
that makes sense.
So, and then Downs is actually going higher, but is worth less than half in DTC.
Yeah, I think what you're seeing there is, I think, a reflection of the market not liking the landing spot. Not just because, well, so slip to the third round, slot receiver, wide receiver 3 on his team, running quarterback with not good intermediate accuracy. I think you're seeing a lot of people sour on that. I'm a little sunnier than the market. I'm a little sunnier than the market, or at least what DTC is, but I have him at 18th overall. My wide receiver, what is that? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right. I like the player a lot, and to me, I think that's kind of like, I have him, I guess, technically at 206, which is lower than his ADP, but sounds to me higher than the 5 points he is on DTC. So.
Austin, you live in North Carolina. I assume you've seen him play quite a bit.
I've watched him, yeah.
Okay.
21 tape was electric.
Okay.
22 tape let me down. I was hoping to at least see the same type of player, and I felt like I didn't.
I don't think I watched anything from 21 on him. So.
Oh, he is electric. Oh man.
Really? So faster, more explosive?
He looked like the best player on the field at times, and I didn't see a lot of that in 22. I do think he's definitely slot only, minus a random play here or there. I think that's just what he fits. I don't like that with A-Rich. Now I have some friends that love that with A-Rich. They say, "Oh, he's going to develop. That's the perfect player for him." And I don't see it. I watch Cam Newton enough, and not comparing Cam to A-Rich, but throwing styles. Cam never did good with the short receiver. So right. I see that in my head, and I struggle to see where Downs and A-Rich link up. Now, totally different players. Who knows what happens? I have him at 21, wide receiver 6 for me. So I'm lower on the receiver class in general, so that's probably why he's lower than that. But I think I only have one share, and I got him in a startup just so I could have a share.
Gotcha. Yeah, I only have maybe 2. Late third or late second, early thirds, where he fell, and same, just to have a couple, just in case. I mean, not that I don't really dislike him that much. He's just sort of like an early third in this class for me. This sort of deep flat class that we keep talking about.
Well, for me with him, I guess at one point in the pre-draft process, not my final pre-draft rank, but at one point in the pre-draft process, I loved him. He was my wide receiver. He was my wide receiver 3. And Austin mentioned 21. Going into the 2022 season, there were some people who had Downs above Addison still. I wonder if this is weird, but if he played with what Drake May is going to be last year, what does that look like? You know what I mean? Because Addison, kind of made Pickett, but when he got to an offense with a better quarterback that spread the ball around, he produced less, right? So I think everything has context. The thing about Downs, he plays bigger than he is. He's great at contested catch, et cetera, et cetera. I think there is room for him to be a bit of a safety blanket for Anthony Richardson, maybe a little more than Austin does. But the problem is, when you're 5'9", 171, and it looks like you're pretty much going to be confined to the slot, that's not good. You can't be both, right? In the NFL, that's moving toward 12 personnel and more power running and gap running to counteract the spread out smaller defenses, which were there to counteract the spread out smaller guy offenses. Having a guy route participation to me matters a lot more than snap percentage. I don't care if you're not on the field in 2 wide receiver sets, if 99% of the team's passing downs are in 3 wide receiver sets, but that's just not what it's going to be like in the NFL these days. One of the reasons we love Dalton Kincaid and are calling him a wide receiver is because there's going to be so much 12 used in Buffalo, right? to where that hurts Khalil Shakir more than it might hurt like Dawson Knox.
Well, all right. So to call him slot only, I think is a little bit incorrect. He can be a move Z. All right. But you will most likely have to scheme him off the line of scrimmage.
Sure.
Unless
is he that good to do that?
Yeah, unless right. And that's the question, Austin. That's perfect. That's the perfect question. Is he good enough for a team to scheme up that many touches for him? Or is he LaVisca? A small LaVisca, you know what I mean? Not comparing the skill set.
I know what you mean.
Somebody that isn't important enough to get the treatment that he needs to be successful.
So I have a stat, and I'm gonna butcher it a little bit, but I'm gonna get the basis of it. It was since 98 or 2000, the receivers that came out that were 5'9" flat, not a quarter, not a half, and below 180 pounds. Can you guess how many have succeeded, giving us a top 24 season? Like 5'9" or shorter and 180 or less.
I think I've heard this before. It's either 0 or 1.
It's 3 in 20-some years. It's
Okay.
Edelman, Cook, and I can't remember.
Hollywood?
Cook, excuse me.
Is Hollywood that small?
Yes. Thank you. Hollywood was the third. Hollywood, Brandon Cooks, and Edelman.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, Amon-Ra bigger than that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Amon-Ra
it's such an outlier. That's where I struggle with this class is you've got a couple bigger guys, and I think you have a couple, I'm not going to say elite talents, but above average NFL talents. And then I think the receiver class is just pray for an outlier to hope he gets you fantasy points. So I'm low on them, man. I have very few shares of the receivers in this class.
Well, let me ask you this question. I'm sorry.
You're fine. I was done.
Let me ask you this question. If you're lower on the receiver class, which, is perfectly legitimate, right? Like, I think there's a lot of argument to be made in favor of that. And we had a few running backs get dinged, at least in the market, by the NFL draft. Who are you taking?
Running backs, tight ends.
Yeah.
I don't mind. I mean, I don't love day 3 running backs. Nobody does. I would love to have seen 2 or 3 more go in day 2, but it's still 4th and early 5th. I'll just take my shots over these late day 2, early day 3 receivers that I think have to be outliers.
Roster agnostic, which I think most people should do when they're drafting. Roschon or Downs?
Roschon.
Roschon.
I have Spears above. I have Bigsby above. Laporta, Charbonnet, and then I have Downs.
I have all those guys above Downs. I just have Roschon just 2 spots below Downs. But yeah, I see it. Yeah.
So I see your point of view is a very safe floor play, in my opinion, right? Which I don't like in the second round. I like to take ceiling plays personally, and that's why I've been getting a lot of the wide receivers. So this is why I have Austin on, because Austin takes the exact opposite approach, but for good, sound reasons, right? I wouldn't have somebody that takes the opposite approach of me and then fails at it, right? So I get it. It's you're going floor play, I'm going ceiling play. It's just a matter of outlook.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's that simple though. Like, because
I'm painting with broad strokes.
Like, and I mean, I tend to be risk averse, but I'll roll the dice on a ceiling bet, when it's appropriate. Kincaid, Richardson, give me all the Kincaid and Richardson, you can give me. The thing is, the second round kind of is the wide receiver round. The way ADP is shaping up. Like, don't get me wrong, I Bigsby's my RB3. Like, I have him ranked in the top 12 overall. But like, just looking at the market, Mingo, Rice, Downs, Mims late second, Reed sometimes creeps up into the late second, Hyatt sometimes creeps up into the late second, whereas Roschon and Tank are getting pushed back to the 210, 212, right?
Those guys are steals.
So the question then is, you're trading back in the second round? Like, if you've got the 205, Miller's already taken, You're looking at Downs, you're looking at Rice, maybe you're looking at Mingo. You're like, let me trade back to 210 and get Roshan.
Yeah. And
Yeah, or I just take them and I don't lose. I don't run
Don't
the
even
risk.
worry about the
Yeah.
few picks. Yeah,
in,
Nah.
in the leagues, all right. So in the leagues that I have Etienne, I took Tank at 205. Doesn't make sense to my team. In the leagues where I have Kenneth Walker, the one league I have Kenneth Walker, I traded up to 204 to take Sharp.
That's a good value. I
It
haven't
made-
seen him there much.
Yeah, exactly. I saw him there. I was like, it makes sense for my roster. It only cost me a mid third. Or no, that's right. It cost me 211 and 311 to trade up to 204.
I'd do that.
I just thought it made sense for my roster. Otherwise, yeah, I've been tapping wide receivers and trading back. If I can get 210 or 212 and 302, I'm very happy.
So you said you think running back plays are the floor and receivers are the ceilings in this class?
In this class, yes, I do.
I don't agree with that.
I
I think
don't-
you get a bigger return much quicker if one of these running backs become the starter by week 11, week 12. Your return is way bigger than if Downs becomes a wide receiver 3.
Right. So I see all of these running backs as blocked by a much better starter. Most of them anyway.
You played Dynasty long enough. That changes so fast in this. So I just think the ceiling in the first 2 years is much bigger for these running backs. So I just been taking them, just boom, 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 and
I see what you're saying. Their path to
I think it
becoming a worth
depends
of
on
first.
how are you defining
Right.
ceiling? Yeah, are you defining ceiling as
see that
is gonna increase in value a lot sooner, or are you defining ceiling as like more of like a longer term thing?
That's
also
what I mean.
including fantasy points thing. Depends.
Do I have a chance to get a top 12 player out of one of these wide receivers over in 2 or 3 years? Yeah, I think so. Do I think that out of any of these running backs? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, see, I looked at it as, can I get a first quicker?
That's what I mean by ceiling.
Yeah. Okay. So we just viewed ceiling different. Like
Yeah.
I because the floor, the plateau at 110, like we talked about. After that, it feels so big. Let me just get the guy I think I can turn into a first the fastest. So I just did that, and if I can turn one of these guys into the 106 next year, when I got him at 206, it's an instant return, and I'm feeling better about the player I'm drafting next year.
Gotcha. All right, let's move on to the next player. I'm going to switch it up a little bit, and I'm going to give you the DTC value first. You guys ready?
I'm DTC. Down to something.
Yeah, about football. 13.9 DTC value for this player. Guesses are free. There's no negative points.
I already forgot what QJ was. What Flowers was. That's my problem.
Flowers was 13.1.
Okay, Austin. QJ.
No. Brian, free guess.
Charbonnet.
Incorrect. This is you're gonna get it after this. So ADP is 11.5 with a TC of 15.9. Brian.
A-Chain.
Correct.
I want to hear what Austin thinks about it. We've talked about A-Chain a lot. I want to hear what Austin thinks about it.
Yeah, I do too.
Oh, he's electric. He's so much fun and the perfect landing spot. Perfect offense for him. I don't really care about any of the running backs, as we've seen the past multiple years. They can't stay healthy anyway. I think if he gets the opportunity, the value increase is just exponential. The first time he goes and gets that wide out and goes for 64 yards in week 7, I'm putting him on the board, and I'm going to see what kind of player I can get that I think's better. I just think the electricity of that he has, you'll see him on Twitter all the time. You'll see him on Sports Center. You'll see him here and there, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my, everybody's freaking out over him. Oh my gosh, I got to have him. And so that helps my team, which is why I've been taking him in the late first, early second, as many times as I can. Just think he's one of those players that you don't see very often. The speed, the elusiveness, and the fit in the offense is literally just to a T perfect.
So you're not taking him to win a championship with him. You just think he's going to value increase and you want to sell him. You just want to flip.
Yeah, again, after the top first round receivers, I'm just looking for value. I don't feel strong enough about anybody in this class after those top guys. I just want value. Now, if he becomes the starter week 3 or 4, I may ride him this year and see what happens. And maybe I can get a Dameon Pierce lucky and he's the starter again next year.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I may move for somebody I like better. But yeah, I mean, after the first 9 or 10 guys, I'm just looking for value as quick as I can get it.
So recent rumors are that Dalvin that is going to be cut,
Yeah.
and he's hot and heavy for Miami, and they're looking at each other across the room with that gaze. What happens to A-Chain's value then?
Well, it's going to plummet short term, of course.
Is he worth that? Is he ever going to be worth that late first that you paid for him?
Probably not.
Okay.
But at the time, right after the draft, it was just so much smoke and mirrors. I feel less confident than I did, but I still think the talent and the electricity of the player is going to get a return or a usage as a flex.
Okay.
That Cook does scare me some. I don't love that.
I mean, he is 27.
Correct. And didn't look very good last year in comparison to the rest of his career.
Brian, what A-Chain's 22?
I think he might be 21.
21.
Yeah, I think he's a true junior.
Oh,
sure that's right.
Okay, nice.
And I mean, he took over the backfield last year in an offense that nobody thought that was happening.
He really did. And
he'll be 22 in October.
22 in October. Yeah, nothing you said is a lie. He is absolutely electric. He's a track star, runs like a track star, which is fine in that offense. Actually, that works in that offense. He's a little bit small, Raheem Mostert.
Yeah, but he actually has. When I say power, I've used it very lightly. For his frame and size, he's actually pretty good in between the tackles and using his size to an advantage.
He does have a sort of compact build that,
better than I expected when I started watching.
Yeah, I like this film. Obviously, I'm scared to death that he's going to get crunched. Brian, what do you think?
Well, A-Chain has pretty much been an out at cost guy for me the entire process. I just, there was one place he could land where I'd give him a slight bump, and it was Miami, right? Mm-hmm. So I gave him a little bit of a bump for the landing spot. Now, if he had landed there when they had the pick in the 50s, right? Then I might have given him even more of a bump. Right now, I'm getting a couple shares relatively at cost. I try to just do the early second. I'm not taking him at 11. Mainly to diversify and or trade for like what Austin's saying. Like the minute there's a TikTok video of him breaking like a 60-yard run to the house, that's when you're going to be able to flip him for some value. But like if we're not talking about him as an asset to flip and we're just talking about him as a player, I agree. But with the X blah 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 for his size, I agree. There was some of that in college, but now it's the NFL, and now everybody's faster, everybody's bigger, everybody's stronger, and that kind of contact balance isn't gonna be great. Your touches aren't gonna be high to begin with. And when we look at this, any stat you want to pick for running backs who are under whatever, 205, 200, 190,
the number.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, whatever number you want to pick, it's just not good, right? Not great, Bob, right? So if you're looking at it that way, I'm off him at cost. If you're looking at him just as an asset to flip, that's a different story. So I think I'm probably, when it comes to, I'll shut up in a minute here. In my rankings, I have him at 19th overall. I think he's my RB7 or so, right? So I'm below market, and but I do have 3 shares, and those are mostly the in case I'm wrong, diversify or trade shares, right? I probably should bump him a little bit to reflect more how I see him as a draft and trade guy. I think the ranking is leans a little heavily into the like as a player rank. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. What
Yeah.
receivers do you have ahead of him?
What receivers do I have ahead of him? So the 4 first rounders and Reed and Downs.
Okay.
Oh, and Mims. Yeah. Forgot Mims because Mims is my wide receiver 3. I love Mims, which we could probably argue about because you don't like, you don't like the wide receivers this year.
Reed?
I love Mims as a player. We can discuss him, but
You mean Jaden or Jalen Reed?
yeah, Jaden Reed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Really?
Some people love him. His tape did surprise me, but I don't have him that high.
I think he's pretty raw. I have him as a 3rd rounder. So you like Reed above? I just because I want to make sure that you're not forgetting anybody. Rashee Rice and Mingo.
Yeah,
That's a pure prospect without the landing spot.
Well, see, it's weird. My ranks are kind of a blend of everything. They're not the order in which I would draft them, not the order in which I think of them as a player.
Okay.
It's kind of like a mix and match kind of thing. And then I have little notes in the column about like how far above market am I or below market, what I would do at that pick and that sort of thing. So it's kind of a holistic, flexible, context dependent kind of thing, which not a lot of people like. It's like run a linear regression model and tell me who to pick kind of thing, right? But
okay, so now I understand the term galaxy brain. Thank you for just explaining. Say your galaxy.
Mingo and Rice, I probably have them a little lower than I should, but I think they were overdrafted by the NFL, and I think a couple like specific things have to happen for them to succeed. Where I think there's more avenues to success for Jaden Reed.
Gotcha.
I don't agree with that, but that's okay.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So my issue, let's get back on track to A Chain. My issue with draft and trade is that I haven't seen him at a point where I was like, oh, that's a value. So my concern is that he's at his potential ceiling in the late first, trade value wise. So the one place that I got him was in an auction. So I got him for the value of a mid-second for some reason. So I thought, well, maybe it's like kind of a high second, but I was happy with that. For that to be my one share of a million other rookies on that team, I would love for him to boom so I could trade him. That'd be great.
I mean, I'm trying to avoid taking him at 111, but you're not going to take him at 2-1 or 2-2 with the intention of flipping at some point.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I probably would there. I just haven't seen it. It just hasn't happened.
So you said you see him at the value ceiling, which I understand the statement. You're saying a late first is about as high as you could get for him, is what you think.
I'm concerned that could be the value ceiling. I'm not saying I know what it is. I'm concerned that could be it. Could he, like you said, be the chief in that backfield and stay healthy all year and produce some electric plays, and you get maybe 2 firsts for him or a mid first for him. That'd be awesome. That would be a good return.
Yeah, but so I tried to trade out of these late first like crazy. It's really as soon as Kincaid went off the board, I was like, let me get out of these.
Yeah.
You couldn't get anything.
Right.
So really those late first were really seconds, if we're going to be honest, in terms of trade value currently.
And it's terms of the talent level of the player you're taking.
Yeah. So
I had Mingo as my 112. I didn't take him there anywhere because I was petrified. I don't want to do that. It's gross.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's sort of like Brian says, I just have him ranked there. It doesn't mean I'm going to take him there. It doesn't pass the gut check with the 112, but I just had him ranked there, he was the next player on my board. So I'm desperately trying to get out of those picks. And that's I definitely left some value on the board trying to do it.
I had no luck after 110 getting any value I wanted. I mean, nothing. I just picked most of the time.
Yeah, I ended up getting 2 for 1 in those situations, like 2 seconds, 2 late second round values.
So in that case, I'm saying, listen, at this point, pretty much any random 24 first is better than
I couldn't get it.
the ones that are
I agree totally.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
know,
I just couldn't get it.
It's interesting because like I've seen some places where it you get it, and some places where you don't. I did one today. Someone took someone took Kincaid at 109, right?
Hmm.
And then I put in the chat, well, fuck, 110 on the block, right? And I think I got, what did I get? I got not much. I got a 24 first, a 24 third, and a 23 fourth.
Oh, that's a good deal.
And I threw over a 24 fourth, right? So it's not a lot, right? But it's like,
just curious. Do you remember
that person took Flowers? Yeah.
Okay, I figured.
Yeah.
Amongst, it depends on who you're dealing with. So amongst Debbie circles right now, I would say that the outlook for the 24 class is not great. So if it's one of those people, you might get a little more.
I think it depends who you ask. I mean, there's some.
I kind of like it.
Well, that's just kind of the buzz that I've heard lately. Maybe it's just the Debbie circles that I run in.
Yeah.
Anyway, next player. We got.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we got about 10 minutes left.
No, what is this 1 hour bullshit?
That's all.
All right.
This is War Games. We go 3 hours. Memphis doesn't edit, and we just do what we do. Come on.
If you guys want to go a little longer, we'll go a little longer. All right. We're going to go back to ADP first. I'm going to give you the position, too. So this is a wide receiver, ADP of 21.2.
Oh, my.
Brian.
Yep.
Mims.
Correct.
That was my guess, man. Good job. We've been on his pace.
For a bonus point, what's his DTC value within 0.3?
9.7.
Oof. No, sir.
7 point. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. They do not. No, he's a little better than
DTC has a late second at 5 point something, right? Isn't that
well,
correct?
Sutton was 7.6 a little while ago, and that was right around what a late second was. So I was just like,
good point.
Rookie fever, but it changes.
Downs is the 14 ADP. Mims is a 21.2 ADP. Downs is a 5, and Mims is a 5.2.
Weird, right?
Yeah. A little bit. I think DTC takes their data from startups, if that's worth anything. So maybe this is a little bit startup versus rookie drafts. So I mean, there's some discrepancy there, if you ask me. And the wide receivers are definitely worth less than the running backs. We didn't discuss with A-Chain, 13.9 in DTC already. That's above Zay Flowers, Sharp, Kendre Miller, and it's above all of those wide receivers we talked about, except for QJ. And above, obviously.
Yeah.
So,
hold on one sec. What's really interesting is that he is above, I think, some quote unquote veterans that you would want instead, right? I mean, Cam Akers, Damian Pierce are the two guys right under him, right?
I'd trade
DTC.
for Pierce in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Those guys are worth less than 5 in DTC right now.
They're worth less than A-Chain.
A-Chain. I thought you were talking about
me too. I was like,
Dylan Cook. James Conner's going to have a good 2023. I mean, or at least he's cheap. They're gonna feed him so much with that terrible team and him in a contract like his contract running out.
Keontae Ingram, right?
Yeah. I love me some Keontae Ingram. You're busting my balls here.
No, I'm serious. That's Memphis's biggest buy right now. Is Keontae Ingram. So I got to pump it up for the brand.
Smart man. Whenever he agrees with me, he's a smart man.
Yeah, right on. All right, so back to Mims.
Yeah.
Brian, you love Mims.
I fucking love Mims. Yeah. I love
Tell me about him. Why do you love him?
So he's Flowers' weight, right? So he's 10 pounds heavier than Downs. right? And I think he's probably the most versatile of the three. And I know that's kind of sacrilege because people love Zay, but people paint Mims as like this only deep threat. He's not. He's much more versatile than that. Good hands, good physicality, good
Great.
speed, right? Succeeded even after Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams left. Early breakout, early declare. I think he's just a guy whose game I fell in love with, and I said, listen, if he gets day two cap on a good landing spot, I'm all in. Now, is the final pick in the second, almost the third? Sure. But this is like, I believe they might have traded up. But either way, this is the new regime saying with their first ever draft pick, Sean Payton saying, I want this guy, right? Cortland Sutton is, not the same type of player, but as far as like when we have to worry about the pie, I don't think I'm worried too much about Cortland Sutton anymore on that team. I think you need to sell Cortland Sutton for almost whatever you can get, within reason these
Not
days.
right
now. I think
wait for him to pop for a week or two.
I think there's definitely the case can be made that he's going to be like the wide receiver 3 on the team that'll have some spike weeks early on. So he's not that guy that, is going to turn into a first right away, whereas probably Mingo could be the wide receiver 1 on his team, right? But I just love Mims so much more as a player. I'm much more willing to take him at cost at like 211, right? Like, 210 than I am Mingo at like 203. When I like the player more to begin with anyway, like that's a deal I'll take. But within reason, right? Like I've already got 6 shares. I got so much Mims and Tank Bigsby. It's time to like, look out, diversify a little bit. I hope I did a good enough job explaining Mims, but
yeah. You love Mims. He's a great player. Austin, what do you think about Marvin Mims?
As the player, I love him. So pre-draft for the Panthers, he was who I wanted. I was hoping we could either move up in the third or move up in late second after we picked what I was assuming was going to be an edge in the second and go get him. I loved him. I thought he fit perfect, was exactly what they needed. But I don't have hardly any shares just because people keep taking them before I'm ready to take them. Like we spoke many times, I'm just keep taking running backs. And people keep taking him before I'm ready. But player-wise, I love him. He's probably somebody I'm going to regret not taking. But I'm hopefully early in the season I can buy a couple shares when people get down and, maybe flip somebody that I didn't draft as high and maybe get a little lucky.
Yeah, there's
no complaints at all. No complaints at all. I love the player.
Especially when one of those wide receivers in Denver does move on, or both. They're not going to give both extensions. I think it's.
They picked up Judy's 5th year, but KJ Hamler he's who cares? Tim Patrick is who cares, right? Like
I think that there's zero chance that Cortland Sutton gets an extension from them, right?
Well, he just got one last year, didn't he?
Yeah, he got but I think there's like a out or something like that soon. Yeah, I'll look it up, but yeah, they extended Patrick and they extended Sutton right around the same time. But that's the old regime, and as Jesse likes to say, the salary cap is a myth, right?
Yeah, exactly. They can definitely play around with that and spread the hit over a few years. And like I said, I'm pretty sure there's an out after this year anyway.
Yeah, there is
something for him. Okay. And they really, the rumors were they were asking for a second, which means they don't really want to trade him. If they really wanted to trade him, they'd take a 5th, or a pick swap somewhere. I mean, is what teams end up doing when they want to just dump salary, but that's not what they're looking to do. But they will move on from him eventually. Marvin Mims will definitely get a bump then. If it ends up him and Judy and Dulcich, I'd be really happy with that in a Sean Payton Russ offense. At some point this year or next year, that would be a really nice. I mean, I see the landing spot as not like Brian said, not like ideal off the bat, but it's going to become elite. Even after, even if Russ doesn't hang around forever, it's still a Sean Payton team. He'll go get a quarterback, and long term, I love Marvin Mims. And for that draft, ADP 21.2, I have like 5 because he's one of the guys that falls to me when I trade back.
Yeah, he
is.
is.
Him and Roshan, I have a lot.
In most of my drafts, Roshan's gone, so he's not even like a consideration for me at that point. And basically, what I'm left with is 2 guys who I think are falling way too far in ADP. And when you can factor in how much I love the players themselves, and I like the landing spots better than the market, all this is a perfect storm. Right now, I'm pretty overweight on Tank Bigsby and Marvin Mims. Right when I'm getting Tank Bigsby at the 303, my pants get tight. Like, please give me all the tank
around there as well.
Yeah, I got him the 304 at one point.
So, baby,
Austin, both of you guys have thrown some low-key shade at Mingo. So, Austin, tell me why you sound very disappointed about taking Mingo with the 2-0, or I'm sorry, what was it, the 39th?
Yeah.
Yeah, you seem very disappointed with that. Talk to me about it.
Initially I was, because I thought they needed edge or corner much worse, and there were guys I really liked. But going deeper on Domingo and seeing how they plan on using them, I got more applicable, more happy with the, I hate saying it like that, but I got happier about that. So I have him as player 16 right now. I don't have but like 1 share, I think. And he has a super clear path, but it's such a muddy path as well. Like it's so many guys could become the lead target for Bryce Young in that offense. He could be the wide receiver 4 for the next 2 years, or he could be their lead guy.
So when you said how they plan on using him, tell me about that.
They want him as the X. That's how they're viewing him. And I mean, that's really what he fits.
I think he can play boundary receiver in the NFL.
Correct.
He can beat. He can beat press coverage. I mean, he's a monster.
Yeah, very good release, great hands, fast, good after the catch. Like I said, I've grown on him. He wasn't my choice at 39, but I've grown on him quite a bit, and I don't have many fantasy shares just because I think it's messy, and probably Terrace Marshall's probably hurt my heart a little bit, so I probably stayed away.
Yeah, I can understand that. And Devin Funches and Calvin Benson.
Thank you.
I'm an Eagles fan, man. I can run through all of ours too, if you want. We got J-Jaw worse than it.
Yeah, that's true. I like how you skip Rager, by the way.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. That's kind of a curse word on this show.
Yeah.
So there is like this one thing that we got after Rager, though, that made everything better. It was like this Lombardi Trophy thing. Anyway.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah. Did you hear anything about Bryce Young having any input on what wide receiver they were going to take? Because we knew we were going to take a wide receiver at some point.
Yeah, I heard Steve Smith was who I heard. The GM and Smith himself said Mingo's the guy at 39, which the GM actually came out after the draft pick and said that in their top 30 visits, Mingo was the one that just blew him away. He said it was instant chemistry. He said he's the one.
Whoever made the phone call to Mingo, I was the GM or the owner, I forget, actually said that to Mingo. Mm-hmm. Said like I was asking I asked Steve Smith who to pick, and Steve Smith said Mingo.
Yeah, Mingo Smith loves him. Thinks he's just a super consistent, ready to go day one NFL receiver.
Yeah,
which is a big statement from him. I mean, that's a big statement. He's been right plenty of times.
Huh.
So
I was wondering because we've heard that Stroud requested Tank Dell.
Yeah,
which I thought was very interesting.
And Mahomes requested Rashee Rice.
Yep, and Sky Moore. How's that going?
And CEH.
Yeah, true.
Maybe he shouldn't be playing GM. Maybe it doesn't matter because they've got a trophy.
So Mingo for me is one of those classic examples of like, the film versus analytics thing, right? And if you lean too heavily one way or the other, I think your opinion of Mingo is a little too bias in one direction or the other, right? The analytics folks will look at him and they'll see older prospect, not a great production profile, right? No huge, numbers and and that sort of thing. And then the film folks will say, he's a classic Duke and ball, got the dog in him player, right? And when you see him on film, he blocks, right?
Oh, excellent blocker.
He's athletic, right? Like, and I think I'm kind of, in the middle because I lean on both. You know what I mean? I loved Mingo at a certain cost before the draft. When he was going 305 in mocks, my pants were tight, right? When now he's going 203, 204, not so much, right? I agree with Austin that there's a non-zero chance that Bryce Young, if he can see over the offensive line, Peppers Peppers Adam Thielen, that sort of thing. I think Mingo will be a little X. I think he'll be a little bit of a big slot. I think shallow routes, crossing routes, maybe a few, go out there and with a go route here or there. But I think he can be better with the ball in his hands than people think. He's a guy, drink, who can turn into that late first, quicker than Mims can. I just like Mims, the player, more. But if you're talking about like a guy that could be a really good safety blanket, using his big body, to win and short and intermediate routes for a young miniature quarterback, then sure, yeah, Mingo's the guy.
Let me ask you guys a question. Would you rather have Tank and Downs or Mingo?
I'll take the two. Just give me the dart throws. Give me a chance. I don't feel strong enough either way on any of them. So,
I mean, considering I've got both Tank and Downs above Mingo, like Tank and Downs.
Okay. Yeah. In a 0.5 tight end premium, would you rather have Musgrave and Roshan or Mingo?
Oh God, yeah. Give me the two. Yeah.
Well, let's make that Schoonmaker and Roshan.
I'm close enough on Roshan and Mingo. I'll take the two. Mm-hmm. That's much closer for me.
Yeah, that's close. That's closer. I'm probably taking the two. But that's where I would start to think about
why I don't have any Mingo. What you just said is exactly why I don't have any.
So I mean, but when we talk about rookie tight ends and that sort of thing, like second round tight ends, people don't understand. Like I shouldn't say people don't understand. Second round tight ends, like NFL second round tight ends, not very good when it comes to like the first 3 years of their career, right? Even less so than first round tight ends. Now the position is changing, which is a big part of my whole argument about like give me all the Kincaid that I can get. But I think people should be careful with Schoonmaker and Strange, and really think about. And Musgrave, and think about a little bit about like, the value they're getting for him.
Yeah, well, as long as you're taking these guys in the late second, early third in a tight end premium, I think it's fine. Outside of a tight end premium, they tumble quite a bit to me, like late.
I mean, they're practically worthless to me. Like a lot of those guys.
It's when I'm looking at him. If I'm looking at Musgrave or Evan Hull, I'm going to take Musgrave. So that they would fall to about that range for me.
That's fair.
Outside.
I don't know about that. Yeah. Evan Hall's got a well-rounded skill set. And he's, certainly a Jonathan Taylor tweaked ankle away from more reps, I mean, he'll probably share it with Zach Moss, but.
Okay. All right. So I really wanted to get that Mingo covered. You guys want to do one more?
You got me all night, so
Yeah, I'm game, man. It's whatever.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
Oh man, if this was Chad and Mike, I'd have ended the episode right there. I'm trying to end it on a that's what, like on a natural. That's what she said. Let's do one more.
And then Mike would have to Google it.
All right. So enough with this second round shit. Let's move to the top.
Oh, I thought we were gonna do some deep cuts.
No.
I love me some deep cuts.
I want to move to the top, and
Let's talk about some Puka Nacua versus
Xavier Hutchinson.
A.T. Perry.
ADP of 4.55.
Brian.
Yeah.
Stroud.
Incorrect.
Austin.
Yeah.
Gibbs.
Correct. DTC value. Anybody want to take a guess?
Shoo.
I mean, he's like a dynasty running back one. You know what I mean? Like he's a top 10 guy at this point. In
I was going to guess low 30s.
It's a little high, actually. He's what did you say, Brian?
23.6.
23.6. That's a little low. So he's 25.8 for Brian. That was close. So 25.8.
Yeah.
They're taking a snap. It's a lot of. I mean, obviously, draft capital speaks for itself. Is he going to get enough and do enough with what he gets to be worth 4.55? Some people are taking him above a quarterback.
That's why I guess Stroud.
Yeah.
But I'm looking here at what I have, and like Stroud's 4.3 and
4.1 is what I have for Stroud.
And Gibbs is 4.7. So still maintaining.
Yeah, so I mean that signals that some people are taking Gibbs over a quarterback, and I've seen it happen in one of my drafts.
Oh yeah, I've seen Stroud fall to 6, 7
in Superflex. Yeah. Oh really? I didn't see that. Wow.
Saw it on Twitter, but that's it.
Are you guys confident in Gibbs? Are you taking him there? Austin?
At 4 or 5?
5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see any other player I'd take above except for in a 2 tight end 1.0 premium, and then I'm taking Kincaid.
So that's some nasty shade at JSN. Talk to me about that.
I just think you'll see a dip in his value before you see a boom. So I'll take the running back or what I'm viewing elite producing tight end, and then get him in week 8 when people are like, man, he's not done what I thought he would do, and get him a little bit cheaper than what I'm viewing the 105 or 106.
Gotcha. Brian?
Love the player, by the way.
Which one?
JSN.
Yeah. Oh,
okay. Gibbs.
Gibbs too, but
yeah, Gibbs. Are you taking Gibbs at 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
I might even get spicy and take him at 3 or 4 in a league.
Really?
And oh yeah, yeah.
I have.
Yeah.
So you taking him above a quarterback in Superflex?
I don't know. I can't recall if I have, but like it's not something like there was a draft and the way it was developing and the picks that I traded, I was like, shit. If I'm on the clock at 3 and I know this league the way I do, I'm going to grab Gibbs and people are going to go, oh, fuck. And they're going to want to trade for him. It wound up that like I didn't do it because I traded the pick or whatever. But like, that's where knowing like the league mates and stuff comes in. Like so the thing with Gibbs, right? Like obviously, yes, like it was a terrible pick for the Lions when it comes to like what you spend the 12th pick on. But when you do spend the 12th pick on a guy, you have a plan for him. And when you ship out DeAndre Swift, you have a plan for him. Is he an elite receiving weapon? Absolutely. Do we play PPR? Absolutely. He's also only 10 pounds heavier than Devon Achane, and only played about 54% of the snaps at Alabama. Was almost used 0 in like within the 10-yard line and like a little more than 0 in the red zone. He's got a path to positional advantage at a position that, let's face it, is losing value. And when you can get a positional advantage at the position, you take it, right? And as we've been talking about a few times tonight, he's got that path to like bump in value, flip him. Like I think some of the Gibbs stuff is a little out of control. But knowing the market is a little out of control on him, I'll take him and leverage the market. And so let's see, excuse me, I think I have 3 shares. Only.
Yeah, that's what I have.
Yeah, I mean, I only have 3, right? But I mean, I don't see any drafts now where JSN is going first, right? And that was a debate, even like the day after the first round. Like that was still kind of a debate, and it's just not anymore. Right? So.
Okay, right on. That's Gibbs. All right, Brian, you won the game. We're just gonna declare you the winner. I'm sorry, Austin.
What was the final score? No. I want to know what the win margin was.
I think I only got 1 or 2 right, so it had to be pretty bad.
It was 5. Yeah. It was pretty much a blowout.
Yeah.
Brian, congratulations, winner on Dynasty War Games. So before we go, though, I want to touch on some things that we didn't get to. So mostly tight end, because my ADP was a little wonky. I couldn't get the tight end premium.
Yeah.
So what I want to talk about is we all acknowledge that in tight end premium, Dalton Kincaid with Buffalo trading up, already declaring that they're going to use him as a weapon. They're going to split him out wide as an X. They're going to use him in the slot. They're going to move him all over. We all understand that he can go anywhere 6, 7, 8 in a high premium or 2 tight end league, right?
5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah.
Okay. Right on. I haven't seen him go 5, but I don't want to hate you. You know what I mean? I can't get mad at you for it.
I had the 106 today, and I wanted Kincaid. It was a 1.0 premium. I wanted Kincaid. I didn't even want JSN, but I traded down to 107 because I knew that guy didn't. He wanted to get up to 6 to get JSN, and I was like, yeah, not all one spot. Not all one spot jumps are equal. You're going into that top 6 tier, and that's where real tier break is, right? And
yeah.
I took the guy I wanted anyway and got the plus. Hopefully he's not watching.
So I've told this story on Fever, but again, it's my story, my show. In a league that, and the other reason I want to tell this story because Austin and I are in this league together. It's called the Double Deuce, right? It's 10-team, 2 quarterback, 2 tight end league, and I had the 107, and I got all like big for my britches coming into the draft. I'm not trading that shit. I got offers for it. I'm taking it. In my mind, right? I'm taking Dalton Kincaid. Fuck these guys in this 2 tight end league.
You're missing 1.0 premium, by the way.
Yeah. So it's a heavy tight end league, right?
Yeah.
We go for a lot. And he goes 106. Kincaid goes 106, and I short circuit it. Like I kind of didn't know what to do at that point. Like I was fuck.
I tried my damnedest to trade up in front of you because I knew you wanted him, and I knew I'd never get him if you got him.
Yeah.
So
and Austin also has this legend in his mind that I just like. I dream about tight ends in my sleep at night.
God, I can't ever get one from you, so it must be true.
So it's because you lowball every offer you send to me. It's just
possible.
That's the way it is.
Possible.
So I had to pivot, but I'm not going to let JSN slide any later than 107, right? So I took the value, I took JSN, and I'm like, what the can I do? Wide receivers kind of aren't worth shit in this league. Benches are a little bit short, right? So there's a lot of wide receivers. There's a lot of players on the market, on waivers that you can pick up and get by. So I had Christian Watson and Pickens on my bench. I don't use them as starters. I really didn't need them, especially I just drafted JSN, and he's not a starter for me either. So I decided to just start working offers. And the other thing I needed was a third running back, or second/third running back. So I'm working offers for both of them, and the same guy takes both, right? So good dude in our league takes Watson for the 202 and a 24 second, which I'm not getting tremendous value there, except you have to understand it's this tight end premium,
sure.
crazy tight end league, and it's really the 112. It's really the 12th pick. So I did that and took Laporta, and then he also gave me Ramondre for Pickens, and it just sort of like worked my roster out, right? Do I love Laporta compared to Kincaid? No. Laporta is on my practice or my taxi squad, where Kincaid would be, on my bench because I want to use him. I want to use him, right? But so what is I want to throw Mayer into this discussion. What is the drop off from Kincaid to Mayer / Laporta? And do you guys see Mayer and Laporta equal, or is there a difference in those two as well? Austin, what do you think?
Those two are the same for me.
Okay.
Kind of taking either one early, second, in tight end premium leagues, which again is why I don't have any of the Mingos, the Charbonnets. Like I don't have any of those because I just take the tight end. But Kincaid's a different level. I mean, it's tiers different for me.
Yeah.
Much less a couple picks. They're tiers apart for me.
Ryan, how far is the difference between?
So Kincaid is my 8th overall, and obviously tight end 1. Mayer and Laporta, like I go back and forth depending on the hour. I think Laporta's got a quicker path to like a higher place in the pecking order on his team, and therefore an increase in value. But they are 14 and 15 overall. But it's essentially 2 tiers of a jump. And I'm okay taking them like at ADP, but I think that's a conversation because as we were saying on Fever, right? Like it used to be, you pound, forget taking tight ends early, pound running back and tight end late. And it's like, okay, you try to do that this year.
Yeah, good luck.
Who's left at tight end, right? Because they got the real life draft capital. And they got the real life draft capital because the position's changing. And because the position is changing, the old folklore of rookie tight ends are you don't touch them might be changing. And when we see that, we have to think, what kind of profiles are we going to make a bet on? And I'm making a bet on Dalton Kincaid.
Look
because
at how
you chase that ceiling the same way you chase Anthony Richardson's ceiling. If all 3 quarterbacks are roughly valued equally, you chase Anthony Richardson's outcomes the same way you chase Dalton Kincaid's outcomes. Now, to be fair, there are people who I think correctly point out that as a route runner, he's not necessarily as good a route runner as like a wide receiver 2 on a lot of teams, and as a lot of the wide receivers in this class, and that it remains to be seen if he can be a big slot. And, we didn't see the testing and all. Okay. Like that's not untrue, but we have to me, we mix our bets, right? Mm-hmm. There are small safe bets we make, and hopefully we pile up enough wins there where we take a shot on a Kincaid or we take a shot on a Richardson and it doesn't hurt us much. And if it does hurt us, well, then we get the high pick next year. So
well, that's why I'm constantly trying to get more bullets later in this draft, because the more
I got something spicy for Kincaid. He's actually my tight end 5 in Dynasty.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not there yet. That's awesome. Yeah.
I'm fine with arguing 6. I'm fine with saying 6. I don't really
You have him above Goddard?
Oh yeah.
Oof. Mandrews?
No. Pitts, Andrews, Hawk, Kelsey, and Kincaid. My thing with Kelsey is if I'm trying to win, he's on my roster. You just have to do it. So I'm going to have him above just because I know I'm getting production. Yeah. And then Kincaid and Kittle, I'm fine swapping whichever way you want to do it. Kittle's just been so frustrating to have on your team. I just take my dart throw and pray Kincaid turns into what I hope he can be.
Yeah. See, I actually have Goddard higher and Kittle below Goddard.
Goddard just doesn't put up touchdowns.
What's that?
He doesn't put up touchdowns, man.
Yeah.
He's got 19 in his career.
Yeah, I mean he doesn't have a lot of time where he wasn't blocked by Ertz.
What's his best fantasy finish?
Has not finished as a tight end, as a top 10 tight end.
I didn't think.
Yeah.
I think he's hyped a lot bigger than what he should be.
He's not had a full season
Okay.
as a starter.
Was he in 6 years now? 5 years? And this
He's
is year
fine.
6, isn't it?
He was sharing time with one of the greatest tight ends in Eagles history.
Grant Calcaterra.
Might get cut soon, by the way.
I just think the ceiling's just not there with Goddard. So if
Well-
I'm going for tight ends, now 2 tight end leagues is a whole different animal. But if I'm going for a tight end, I either want one of the studs or give me as many as the guys I think could finish top 6.
The Dan Arnold signer, by the way, is kind of doomed for Calcaterra.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of the same role.
Me, him, and Kennedy Brooks are going to be hanging out at some point somewhere, just having a coffee, talking about what could have been. I'm not, I like Austin's ranking. I mean, it's certainly, it's certainly bold. Like I don't have that kind of chutzpah, that kind of spine. I only have him at 11 at the moment. But I will say this: I am souring on Goddard a little bit. I am souring on Dulcich a tiny bit. And there's an argument to be made that, a couple of the other guys I have ahead of him, I can tell you stories as to why they shouldn't be, like Kittle's age and the fact that he's unpredictable and, and injured. So like, yeah, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I don't play a whole lot of 1.0 premium. I think maybe if I did, I might have a little bit more, BDE when it comes to where I'm putting Kincaid, but yeah.
Yeah, I just like with Pat F is another one. I just don't think the ceiling's there. So give me the chance at the ceiling over the floor of let me get my 8 to 12 points a week, and it's cool and it works.
Yeah, I like Pat in that role. Yeah, I don't love him as my tight end 1, but if I have 3 other guys with upside behind him, 2-3 other guys with upside behind him, I can live with it.
Yeah, like Pat F and Dulcich is an awesome combo.
Yeah,
I got my floor guy, and then I got my guy I hope can hit a ceiling.
I also am going to have, just because I'm me, I'm also going to have Chig and likely
absolutely
Polar on that same team.
I'm the same way. I have Woods and Bellinger, which that broke my heart. But
yeah. So I'm usually notoriously to the extent that anybody knows me, notoriously slow in bringing rookies up in the ranks, and I'm trying to correct for that this year because I've certainly missed value and been too slow on that. There's just something about like taking a guy that hasn't played a snap and putting him in that top 5 that I just
it's scary. When I was messing with it tonight, I was like, ooh, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
So in that same league we were just talking about with Austin, Musgrave went undrafted. It's a 3-round draft, so it's 30 players.
Crazy. I didn't have any more picks.
It's still the two tight end 1.0 premium.
Yes. Goes undrafted. Yeah, so we have a $500 off-season budget. I spent $250 to pick him up and $250 to pick up Tillman. Why did those players not get drafted in the top 30? I don't know. That's a mystery to me, especially in that format.
Was Shoemaker drafted?
No.
I don't think so. It's a shallow league, man. It's tough. I have nobody to drop. That was my problem to get Musgrave because he would have been my tight end 6 probably on my team. So
I caught players that got picked.
Plus, you said it was 10 teams, right? So that's only 30 picks.
That's I'm saying out of 30 players. Yeah. But in that format,
he should have been picked. I tried to get into the 3rd to get him, so I didn't have to go battle you specifically for Fab. I knew you would try, and you did.
I have no problem.
Let me ask you this: in that league, you said no Musgrave, no Shoemaker. What about Tucker Kraft? No, right?
Nope.
No, strange.
No, it was just the top 3.
Right?
Yeah.
Really?
Which made
just
no
the
sense.
top 3?
Yeah, so that's what I want to know is is the gap really that big between Laporta and Mayer and Musgrave?
Musgrave, no, I'm fine with taking him. I mean, there's a gap. He's in the next tier for me, but I'm taking him in that league. I'd have taken him early 3rd or late 2nd.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking here. I have him 26th overall. Musgrave. I think there's a couple things that mix in with Musgrave for me, right? I don't think him and Kraft are like, to me, they're like a diet version of Kincaid and Knox, right? Like, I don't think they're the same type of player in a way, but at the same time, they're two slot-ish, intermediate-ish target players with a Jordan Love quarterback, and we don't know what we're getting from Jordan Love, and a wide open who the hell is going to be the pass catchers on the team, right? So there's some reason to ding Musgrave from an overall ranking standpoint, whereas I still pretty much have him where I had him as far as a tight end ranking standpoint.
Now, let's understand, though, that Musgrave might be the absolute worst blocker in the entire class out of tight ends. Like,
but he is athletic.
He is athletic, and
he can't stay healthy.
I mean, I can't even say he was willing. I can't even there's like straight up whiffs on it.
I love willing blocker. That's like such a backhanded compliment. Like,
and he is not that. I agree totally.
But I can't even say he's willing. So he can't do it, and you don't want to do it. So they didn't take him for that. They are going to use him I have to believe they're going to use him as a weapon. You know, whether he needs time to develop into that or not is not something I can tell you right now. I liked his tape. I didn't love his tape at first. Everybody had to tell me I was wrong until I went back and watched more games and liked it. Didn't love it. Didn't think he was in the same league as Mayer or Laporta. You know,
I agree.
I love both of those guys.
Yeah. I've got him 12 spots later, or no, 10 spots later. So
that's quite a bit. That's a big gap.
Yeah.
So that's actually on the borderline of where he could not get drafted in a 30-player draft.
Well, he's at 24 for me. Laporta's at 16 and Mayer's at 15. So,
right. If everybody loves Jaden Reed so much,
I have Reed one spot ahead of him.
It's hilarious.
Tight end question, because a lot of these guys going into year 2 are honestly feel like forgotten. McBride, Chig, Woods, Otten. Heck, I can't sell Otten for a third in a tight end premium league. But he's the clear starter. I don't understand it.
I think that's crazy.
I've tried. I just needed to cut somebody. And I'm like, I don't know, whatever.
It's not
it's the curse of Baker Mayfield and a terrible offense.
Yeah.
Yeah. A third?
You know, I agree. Like if someone offered me a third for him, I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. You know,
yeah, so I got a lot of those.
I would just keep them. You know what I mean? But yeah, people are down on him. So that's a guy that you have to hold and then wait till the year starts and he, you know, puts up some points because, you know, Baker is gonna, you know, throw a few passes to him and, you know, not much there besides, you know, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Who,
I mean, he outscored Woods and Chig last year. People just don't see. I mean, Brady was there. I understand that.
I like him a lot. I mean, he was my tight end 3, you know, of the class that year, and so like I'm a big Otten supporter. It's just I think having Baker as a quarterback and that terrible team, just kind of buries him a little bit.
That's fair.
You know, especially like when we think about like what the market thinks about him. McBride, like he didn't do anything to make me not like him. So like I still have him. Okay. Like I think he's like my tight end 12, right? Like,
he got some run at the end of the year and looked, he finally flashed in a couple games at the end of the year, put up a couple numbers. So can we talk a little DTC value on these guys real quick? Because I think it's going to surprise you. All right. So I'm going to start off with Cade Otten as a 4.9 in a 12-team Superflex tight end premium.
Wish.
Travesty, right? What do you think Chig is?
Probably closer to 10.
Yeah.
Love him.
Yeah, 9.1. It's almost double.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then you got Woods at 4.7.
Oof.
I'd rather have Otten. I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, Brian.
I think they're both fine. I have no issue with throwing a dart on either.
Brian loves Jelani Woods.
I think for me, it's Woods, no question. But at the same time, like I could totally see a world in which Indianapolis still has 900 tight ends and Anthony Richardson, you know, doesn't get him the ball much, and Otten's the third on the tree in Tampa Bay, and he starts to have a better 2023. Like, it's not out of the question.
And I'm a Will Mallory guy, so.
Oof.
Yeah, McBride, he's a 5.0, so he lost a shitload of value.
Yeah, he did
from a high to mid second last year. But he was blocked behind Ertz, and I think anybody that took him understood that he was going to take a value dip, and you just got to hold that guy and wait for it to come along.
So are y'all taking Mayer and Laporta over those guys? Not DTC. Are you taking them? This is where I struggle with my rankings tonight. I couldn't decide where to put the rookies compared to these second-year guys.
I think I literally have McBride, Mayer, Laporta like 12, 13, 14.
Yeah, I would have those guys pretty even.
I have 4 of them. I have Chig in there as well. Just
Chig's like let me see what the tier is. That tier is McBride, Mayer, Laporta, Chig, and then Schultz and Ingram at the bottom.
Okay, I have Schultz and Ingram above those two, but basically exactly the same.
Yeah, I think Schultz this year can get off to a good start as a safety blanket for Stroud, and then you trade him.
Yeah.
What's his name? Bauer on Dynasty Theory was joking the other day that he's gonna have 700 receptions and 25 yards, but in a 1.0 premium, you'll take it.
Yeah.
And Ingram, I dinged him a little bit because 1 year tag, right? And they drafted a guys with second round draft capital behind him. So what does that mean? If I felt a little bit more certain that he was attached to Trevor Lawrence, I would probably bump him up a little bit more.
I'd take Ingram above all those guys.
I have Ingram right above all those guys.
Schultz is a 6.5. Likely is a 4.4. Ingram's 10.
He's interesting.
And is Dulcich really double Ingram? He's 19.1. Is he really that?
He shouldn't be. With Adam Troutman coming, he shouldn't be. We laugh. Sean Payton.
Yeah, but he didn't use him in New Orleans.
He didn't use him as much.
I had him on all the rosters. That's how.
I had such hope for him, right? Sean Payton spends a 3rd round pick on a tight end. We pay attention,
exactly.
And then he had flashes, but it didn't work out. But wasn't he on some teams with he had Taysom Hill, wasn't it? Didn't he overlap with stupid Jimmy Graham for a minute or two? He requested a trade specifically to Denver, and Sean Payton said yes away.
Yeah, well, because he got beat out by Juwan Johnson and Taysom Hill.
What's Juwan Johnson on DTC?
That's a good question. I definitely have him too low.
I started scooping him because he was cheap this offseason.
Yeah.
People were throwing him in on trades. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I like him a lot. He's 31 on 3.7 on DTC.
Sure.
That's just
tight end 31. I have him at tight end 18.
I just put him to 22, so that feels about the same.
I'm probably a little higher than that. I probably have him 15-ish.
So you have him above the second year guys?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'd be a little more comfortable with him.
I just can't trust that offense, that tight end room. It just feels like such a mess.
In New Orleans?
Yes.
Because of Taysom Hill?
Yes, I just never know what to expect. Who's going to get me the points? Who's not?
He doesn't truly play tight end, though. They use Juwan Johnson as a weapon.
It's true.
Quarterback upgrade.
Hence why I missed on him. I'm agreeing. I'm wrong, but I agree with you.
Yeah, I've just been getting him second. Only been getting secondary shares. To be quite honest with you, I didn't know who he was a year ago.
I would say most people agree. I remember Vip is actually a New Orleans fan. He's like, man, we got to pick him up. I'm like, who the hell is this? He's co-manager with me in leagues.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, who is this? He's like, dude, just pick him up. I'm telling you. We picked him up. He didn't do anything for the first couple of weeks. I'm like, man, get him off this roster. And he's like, nah, just hold him. Sure enough.
Dawson Knox slipped to tight end 34.
Wow. Yeah. And
Tyler Conklin's at 20.
Well, who's their? He's their tight end, isn't he?
Yeah, but
He was pretty good last year.
No,
As someone who was trying to
yeah,
sell him, I think I tried to sell him to you too in that league.
They
I
still
have him.
CJ
I have him at
Uzomah.
like 26 or something like that. So it's not like I hate him. I
Yeah.
just that's oof.
You still have Rucker, who I wouldn't be surprised if he took a jump at some point. It's not like he learned how to be a receiving tight end at Ohio State. You know what I mean? They
Yeah,
just
that's a
didn't
good
use
point.
him. So learning curve is likely very high for Rucker. Never know.
That's a good
Just
point.
for a free guy, could be on your waiver wire.
What are you
Talk
doing
about
with
a
Gesicki?
free guy. Kuntz slip into the 7th round.
Yes.
Maybe a guy that I stash on my taxi because they may develop him into like they may see him as like, oh, you're more of like a big wide receiver, like other teams are doing with these other tight ends. So, that was actually like good for us because so many people, were so thirsty after the combine. Him
After
slipping,
the 10.0.
Yeah.
him slipping gives us value. Mike Gesicki, tight end 39 at a 2.3.
No. Incorrect. No, Gesicki's a really nice fit in that offense, obviously. With Bill O'Brien, he's going to make that.
I think he's sneaky. I think he's going to bounce back. I mean, there's certainly competition, right? You've got when it comes to intermediate targets, right? You've got Hunter Henry, you've got Juju, Kendrick Bourne. Now they got Kayshon Boutte. Like, there's a world in which Gesicki doesn't pan out the way that we'd like, but there's certainly a lot better picture for him now than it was under Mike McDaniel. Like when you saw like how he got used with Adam Gase, which was like ew. Then Brian Flores, we had hope, right? And then McDaniel, and it's like he didn't exist anymore.
Right.
Like we've been liberated, right? So at least there's a chance, and like the market doesn't like him. So
if you guys remember when he was coming out, athletic profile was like 98th percentile for tight ends. The guy was an absolute. When we say freak, we mean Mike Gesicki.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe and the hands are pretty good. They're not amazing. There are some drops in there, but when I see him in the wide receiver / tight end room in New England versus they've got some chumps in that room, right? I'm not worried. If I'm not worried about Kayshon Boutte or the ghost of Juju Schuster's knee beating out Gesicki for targets. To be honest, like one thing that I heard on Inside the Birds last year, the Eagles were trying to sign and trade for every wide receiver before the draft when the AJ Brown thing literally just kind of came together at the last minute. Like they finally got frustrated and they were like, fuck it, Philly, do you want him? Give us a first and we'll take Burks. It really like just happened like that. But they tried to get a lot of other guys. They looked into Juju, and the concern with Juju is that his knee needs maintenance every week. Those were the words that the Eagles front office personnel told the beat writer that I heard on this podcast, right? So Juju doesn't really scare me as somebody that's going to be available, to be perfectly honest, for a full season and competing for targets and healthy.
The good thing is Matt can't throw over 15 yards, so all those guys should get the ball to him.
I think Gesicki's the tallest too. So we're
good.
Right on. All right, gentlemen. Anything else out there that you'd like to discuss in the fantasy world, dynasty world that we missed tonight?
I mean, I could talk about it all day, but
that is a really broad question, right? Are there any rookies that you were hoping to discuss that we didn't touch on?
I'm surprised we didn't talk about the quarterbacks. I'm assuming y'all have plenty, so why it didn't come up, but I was expecting some quarterback talk.
Okay,
or is it just chalk for y'all? Is it just
we can talk about the quarterbacks? I think for me and Brian, it's pretty chalk. It's AR, Bryce, Stroud.
Okay, right. It's the same way for me. I didn't know. Some people, I've seen a lot of Stroud at 3 and then a lot of Stroud after Gibbs. And I didn't know if one of y'all were going to be Stroud at 3. I wanted to hear the discussion. And I heard Brian talking junk about my man Bryce, so I was hoping.
I was poking fun, but like I have him at 3 above Stroud. I would start to think about taking Gibbs before Stroud. I would not start to think about taking Gibbs before Bryce Young.
I agree
for the most
perfectly with that
part.
statement.
Yeah.
So in our auction draft, Austin, you valued Bryce a lot higher than Stroud.
Yeah.
And that
I
pissed me
kind
off.
of messed up there.
Oh, really?
Well, one, I like Bryce quite a bit above Stroud for fantasy and real life, so
Mhm.
that helps. But I needed a quarterback, and I kind of fell asleep when A-Rich went, and so I missed A-Rich.
I got you on that one.
And then I was working when Stroud went.
I
So
was asleep. I was asleep when Stroud went.
yeah, maybe it was the other way around. Either way, I didn't have a chance to finish those two.
Right.
So with Bryce, I was like, I'm just winning it. I don't care what it cost at this point. I want a QB3 I trust. And I paid more than I wanted. I got him cheaper than Gibbs went, so I felt a little bit better. But seeing him go $40 above A-Rich wasn't very happy.
Mm-hmm. He chains up, by the way.
I do need a running back.
So yeah, I really wanted Bryce after I fell asleep and Stroud went. I really wanted Bryce, and for some reason, I just didn't have enough. You just straight up outbid me.
Yeah, because I got Levis for ridiculously cheap.
Yeah, $55.
It seems insane. It's like a late second.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. I
So
think I was at work when that happened. That happened because I nominated him to get money off the board,
Yep.
and it didn't work out that way. And we had a busy day, and I just wasn't able to check my phone, and he was gone.
yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was like, I'll put 55 on him. Let's see what happens. And all of a sudden, it was like, you're the winner. I was like, huh?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I have a couple leagues where actually most leagues I try to have two what I would call elite quarterbacks,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of leagues I don't have a third. So
really?
in those leagues, obviously I would take A-Rich above Bryce. But in a league, let's say I have Burrow, let's use a tier of like Daniel Jones, Golf, Geno, that tier as my second, and I don't have a third. I struggle to not take Bryce ahead of A-Rich in that situation because I need the points.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people are A-Rich 1-2 no matter what. I don't care.
But
And I can't be there.
As soon as A-Rich gets on the field, though, he's gonna give you like Fields level rushing.
Or he gives you Lance points. And at that point I'm like, okay, that's okay. Lance was okay. He wasn't great for fantasy.
So much above him athletically, like as a runner. Anyway. All right. So I have so far this draft cycle, I have 5 A-Rich, 2 Stroud, and 1 Bryce Young. And I have a draft that hasn't started yet, and I have the 102. Do you guys think I should take Bryce Young just for diversification? Brian,
I think you should trade down one. I think almost everyone at 103 will trade up to get A-Rich.
Yeah.
And I think you could get their second. I think you could get the 203.
All right, that's a good call.
And maybe even throw your third in because at that point, whatever. If you have, it makes it get it.
Well, no, it's 302. I really like that pick.
Okay.
I'm going to
have a later third.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It feels like A-Rich is ceiling is obviously player 1 in a startup.
Mm.
But as my QB2, the floor is I can't start him in a week because he's given me 12 points with 2 interceptions. And even if he's got 80 yards rushing, okay, so there's my 8 points. He's got 150 yards passing, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Mm-hmm. It's not doing a lot for me.
Yeah, when I talk about the high floor on Richardson, part of it is the rushing just kind of bakes in a floor. But for me, it's the floor as a dynasty asset. The floor is there precisely because the ceiling is so high, right? So he's going to retain that value. I look at Anthony Richardson as I'm drafting an elite dynasty asset at the moment, Not that I'm drafting a quarterback but at the same time, I'm not drafting Bryce Young or CJ Stroud as a quarterback I'm going to count on in 2023 either. I think they're far overrated. I think people are really overstate their safety and their floor. There's a whole lot of, not that it's bad, but like Goffian, Derek Carrian, Kirk Cousins outcomes in that range of outcomes that people just don't want to face. There's so much that goes into quarterback. First of all, they're integrating and processing a lot more than any other position on the field. Coaching, system, weapons, offensive line, right? Like, there's a reason why, it's a tough position to scout. And there's a reason why a lot of these quarterbacks have missed over the years. And, we get a decent prospect and we get NFL, which is bereft of quality quarterback play. And so we get thirsty and we get hyped over these quarterbacks. And honestly, like, I think Richardson by far is the most talented and has the by far the highest ceiling, but I don't know that I really love any of them, right? Like, I mean, not everybody's going to be Trevor Lawrence and Caleb Williams, but it's kind of like, just like, okay, well, these are the guys we have this year. You know what I mean? And I don't know, maybe I'm underrating, the other two, but like, I'm not a huge fan,
I think this is going to sound biased looking at my T-shirt, but I think Bryce is pro ready as you've seen since T-Law. I think, since T-Law.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I think he is uber smart. Processes as good as any quarterback I've watched in years. Accurate enough to not have an issue with accuracy. Excellent within the pocket. And seems to play whatever system he needs to be in to a T. So for me, that's a pretty safe floor for early value obtaining at the very minimum, if not gaining. Now I would love if he had a wide receiver 1 to throw to. That would make a big difference. If he can get T. Higgins next year, oh my gosh, I think the ceiling's astronomical. But I just he feels super safe to me. Like you said Kirk Cousins is an outcome you see, and I see that. I would take that at 1-2 every day if you give me Kirk Cousins production.
I love that Mingo has a crafty vet like Thielen to spend every day with and to learn how to be a pro with.
Yeah, I agree totally.
All right, so where do you have Young and Stroud ranked among like quarterbacks?
That was gonna be my next question, so I'm glad you brought it up. Yeah. I have all three in a bunch because I can't choose at 11, 12, 13.
Okay.
And I struggled tonight to not put them 10, 11, 12. At the moment, I have Watson ahead of him. And A-Rich and Watson, I literally moved them back and forth 3 times between having A-Rich above Watson and leaving the other 2 there. But I decided to go with the player I've seen give me top 5 multiple years to put him above. So
I got Richardson 12, tier break, Tua, Lance, Russ, Bryce, Stroud.
Lance is that I have him at 22.
Yeah,
I'm scared. I'm scared. But that sounds about right. I mean, if he's the starter, it's the perfect spot for him.
In a startup, AR is going real high. I can't take him that high.
Yeah, he's going mid-second right now.
And
I've seen some early seconds.
Oh my God.
I mean, if you're in a super flex draft and he's a top 15, 16 quarterback, just, that's where he's going to go. Like,
you're right.
I missed where you guys had Kyler in that list.
I have Kyler at 9.
I have him at 10. Yeah, Kyler's going. He talk about somebody who's way too cheap.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's how me and Jesse started our conversation tonight.
Add him to the Tank Bigsby pile, right? Like, give me all the Kyler you can. Like, his startup ADP, like, I don't know, a couple months ago, or whatever, was like late first, early second. And I was like, what the you're kidding me, right? Like he's dropping, and now he's like a late second, right? Because everybody's got the rookie fever. Like, give me all the Kyler and Tank Bigsby that you can, and Dalton can.
That's right.
So yeah, I've gotten 3 cheap Kyler shares this offseason, and I've never been a above market guy on Kyler. I've always thought he was a good quarterback, good fantasy quarterback anyway. I don't really care if he wins in the NFL or not. And then the bottom just kind of fell out of him way worse than it should have. So yeah, like I said, I got three cheap shares. Just never really envisioned having them, but people send me offers to try to get rid of Kyler. Is how much people don't.
I mean, I'm looking now. I see Anthony Richardson at the 202 as quarterback 9 in the ADP that I'm looking at, and Kyler Murray at the 211 quarterback 12. Like, don't get me wrong. As much as I am buying into the acquisition of AR as a dynasty asset, if you're telling me I can get Kyler Murray 9 picks later, my pants get tight.
Yeah, you're telling me I can sell my 102 for Kyler plus? Yeah, all day, every day. Please. But I haven't got that lucky. I've tried in leagues I'm not contending, and I can't get anybody to budge. They're doing the same thing we are. They bought him as soon as he got a little bit cheaper, and they're just going to wait till he plays.
Yeah.
Do you have T-Law in your top 6, top 5?
I have him 5. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a little aggressive. I have him ahead of Herbert. Yeah, but most people have Herbert 5, but like they're in the same tier. It's 5, 6, 7, 8. So like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Wow.
I agree with that.
I don't hate it.
That's some real love. So yes, Austin, every trade I've ever made with Austin, he destroys me on. So let's bring up the trade we made, Austin, and then we'll leave on that. Brian, how bad did he kill me? I gave him Calvin Ridley for a mid-second and Sky Moore.
Yeah, it was auction pick between 2.4, 2.5, and Sky Moore.
I'll likely get one of those, one of those wide receivers, Tillman or Mims.
I mean,
Downs.
I don't know that it's as murderous as you think. Right. Ridley, has not seen the field for a while, is I think 28, 29 by the time he gets back on the field.
Not 29 at the end of this season. So
okay. All right.
He's 28 this season.
He's got Kirk and Zay Jones, right? They say they want to pass to the running backs. He's got Ingram and Brenton Strange, right? He's got to integrate into that offense. I think there was a time this offseason where he was kind of a value, right? But I think now that we're getting closer to the point of the reality of him playing with T-Law, I think he might be a little overvalued at the moment, right? Then you think about a mid-second is a decent pick, and you can get a running back there, you can get a Josh Downs, you can get a Mingo, you can get a Rashee Rice, right? And Sky Moore, for as much as I don't like the guy, right? I'm nothing against him personally, but I've been out on him since the beginning. I think
biggest fans in the draft last year
were drunk on landing spot. The people who make the case for him point to an improvement over the course of the season. They point to really good peripheral numbers on a per route and per target and per snap basis. So when you look at an offense that is, Travis Kelce and who the fuck knows, are they all going to be wildly unpredictable week to week? Right. But there's also a world in which Sky Moore elevates above Tony and Rice, and he's the guy you want. So I would rather have Ridley, but I don't know that it was as murderous as you were making it out to be.
Right on.
Yeah,
Or at least there's a case that it's not as murderous as you made it out.
I looked at more as like a late second, early third, and the pick, like I said, was between 2.4, 2.5 in auction money. So,
Yeah.
like you said, a Mingo and Sky Moore or Ridley.
He once got a second out of me for Marcus Peters, I think the guy's name was, from the Titans, and a meatball sandwich. That's all I got.
I mean,
seriously, this guy's good.
No.
Whatchamacallit?
It might have been Josh Palmer, but it was Van Jefferson, actually.
It was Van Jefferson. That was
the question is, like, has Ridley really ever been elite, except for like the 1 year that
the one season without
he didn't have Julio? Like,
Yep.
I mean, do we overrate who Ridley is?
Well, no, because you saw the Alabama tape and everybody thought you're going to see that in the NFL, and we haven't seen that for a season -1.
He had a wide receiver 4 or 5 season.
Yeah. And then he was going as about the wide receiver 4 or 5 in Dynasty until what happened.
Right.
So probably.
Yeah.
I don't think he's worth the first, but he's hard to sell for a second. So
The
kind of.
only other share that I traded, I've held all my others, a bunch, because I was getting them cheap, scooping them cheap, and I traded him for Jordan Love.
I like that a lot for you. See, look, a trade I like for you. Look at there.
Hey.
But that's about right. I think Love's worth a late first.
Yeah.
If I'm selling Ridley, I want a late first for him. So.
And then I traded Love in this auction for about a 107 or 108 worth of cash.
So your buddy Juju with the knee is one spot above Ridley according to
Interesting.
GTC. Yeah.
I'd much rather have Ridley.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's riskier in a way.
Is it?
And because Juju,
is it? I was about to say, is it?
Yeah. Juju feels safe. He feels like a warm blanket sometimes, but maybe he's more of a wet blanket. Oh, I'll tell you guys another time about how I am Andrew Dice Clay's best friend in the world.
And I'll tell you about the time that I made a blanket both warm and wet.
Nice.
Can we do that now?
No. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Hold on.
Okay.
A couple things here. Dave Donaldson, friend of the show, in the chat. First of all, great opening, gentlemen and Jesse, differentiating between the two. Okay. And let's see. First, B. Ford was right by A. Rich. Second, who cares? I was right.
I'm sorry. What was this? Oh, you're okay. Right.
You're not a gentleman, and I was right on Anthony Richardson. Like,
well,
I mean,
right.
Doesn't get much better than that, right?
I think he actually had a real question, and we're going to ignore that part.
What difference is there between these rookie QBs and older good vets this year?
So just for 2023, give me Dak, give me Cousins, give me obviously Watson, give me probably Russ, Gino maybe. Yeah.
What about golf?
Yeah.
Rodgers.
It's tough for me to like Rodgers.
All right, this is a dynasty show, but the way to answer that question is: Are any of this year's quarterbacks draftable in redraft this year?
Oh, well, you're definitely drafting A-Rich in every redraft for the ceiling.
Late,
not your
late
first.
though, right?
I don't think you're going to get late because as the season gets closer, you're going to hear Irsay and Steichen talk about how much they can't wait to get him on the field. And I think he goes in the top 10 rounds in most redrafts.
Superflex. What about
I was talking about one QB.
One QB.
Superflex, he's definitely going in the top 10.
One QB, rounds. You think A-Rich is going to be
top 10 rounds? Because it's the same way with Lance his rookie year. That you heard that hype of he could see the field early, and he went in every redraft I was in most of the time by like round 10, 11, 12.
If one of those guys falls late and I take a dart throw as a backup, I might, but I never take a backup quarterback in one QB. So.
Yeah, it's got to be a deep league for me to do that. I agree.
Right on. All right, we're not devolving into redraft. God, what are we doing? Gentlemen, Austin, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Very much. I appreciate you having me on. It was a blast.
Yeah, Shemp, thank you. The fourth stooge bailing us out as per usual.
Which one are you? Are you Curly or Mo or what's going on here?
I got to be Mo, right? I'm the one that
Yeah,
gets.
I think Mike's more of a Larry.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think Chad's Mo because he's the grumpy one. You know, it's always smacking everybody around.
Mm,
Yeah, who's that? Yeah, I guess I'm Curly.
mm. Yeah.
Right.
Austin, it was really good to see you again.
Heck yeah, man. It was a
Thanks.
blast. Absolute blast.
Thanks, guys. All right, Brian, thank you for your time. Do you have some plugs?
FF Junkie _ on Twitter, Dynasty Fever with Jesse, goingfor2.com, Dynasty Saturday Night 5, RPO football, and I don't know. Like my DMs are open to tell me how wrong I am, and I don't know, whatever.
Austin, you got anything you want to plug?
Nope.
Tell your girlfriend who's been walking around in the background
Mhm.
that she's now world famous.
Ooh.
She's been on YouTube.
She already was. She was in an Ace Hood video. Watch out.
Oh, I don't
Music
know.
video. Yeah.
I don't know
The
who that is.
rapper from
Cool.
Miami.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'll
Well,
tell her double time now.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Thanks again for joining us, gentlemen. And we are out of here.